if Kenneth Walker is shiftier Damian Harris.
Yeah.
That means he'll be a very productive running back from a team, but he's never going to have the ceiling of Javonte Williams, for one, or some of these other running backs that we're just clearly going to rank higher.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So because of that, we like Kenneth Walker a lot.
Yep.
But because he doesn't come with guaranteed pass catching upside, no team's ever going to put him into that role. He'll be a little bit more of a bit player in the NFL unless his college team just never asked him to do it and he's really good at it, which is a possibility. In which case, we're underestimating Kenneth Walker a lot. But at this point, you gotta I gotta put Treylon Burks ahead of Kenneth Walker because Kenneth Walker does have warts, not works.
Yeah, no, it's. I hate to use the term like red flag, but that's what it is. The fact that they did not throw him the ball at Michigan State is something that has to be taken into account. And I saw this on Twitter today with I think it was JJ Zachariason, who is a phenomenal follow on Twitter. He called this out. He loves Kenneth Walker, loves the prospect, really excited for his long-term outlook. This is a glaring issue.
I didn't even know he called it out. So, okay.
He did literally today. He was having a conversation about it on Twitter because people were like, there were a lot of Spartans fans chiming in saying, well, it wasn't a part of the game plan. And he was like, I know.
That's like, part of the issue. Yeah.
I understand it's not part of the game plan. Like we've heard it. We've seen it. But why was it not part of a game plan? Like, we're not at like, oh, it wasn't a part of their scheme. Why wasn't it a part of their scheme?
And it wasn't even the senior year when he went through the transfer portal and then went to a different team and burst on the scene with that 1,636 yards.
Yeah.
Which is crazy in one season.
Fantastic.
But he had 3 seasons before that where he didn't break out, nor did he have an insane college target share in those seasons either. It was a trait that stuck with him throughout his entire college career. Yeah. Did not get used in the pass game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is he Jordan Howard? Like,
Jordan Howard's had some productive seasons.
Yeah, he did, but that's a 2-year and then you're done type of running back. And
I think Walker's a better prospect than, because Jordan Howard was like a 6th round draft pick. Walker's going to go much higher than that.
Walker might be just shiftier Jordan Howard, though. Like somebody who's not quite David Montgomery.
I would take a poor man's David Montgomery.
I would too, but when we're talking,
Montgomery's a much better pass catcher.
When we're talking this teardrop, there's really a teardrop after RB1, and then there's the next best guy in Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Who is probably going to be an RB2, but he's not an RB1, and then there's a teardrop is kind of what I'm
is
saying
his
here.
Ceiling, and I'm by no means, I think we're on the same page here. We're not trying to poo-poo him entirely, but like,
we still have him ranked very high.
Here's my glass half full. Like, could he be Josh Jacobs?
Could he be Chris Carson, a less violent rusher, but Chris Carson?
Okay.
Chris Carson, again, the draft capital, very, very different. But as far
Chris
as
Carson
being a pure rusher early in his career, who was just a better rusher than everybody else they ever tried to bring in and supplant him with, but was never that pass-catching running back until year 4. Because he needed to add that to his repertoire, and then got injured, and that sucks for him. But he was a borderline RB1. He was a high-end RB2, a discount, a value guy for his entire career in fantasy. But he was never a pass catcher until the last 2 years, year and a half of his career. I haven't looked at the athletic comparisons at all there, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I off the top of my head, I don't know about that, but
I'm checking that out right now.
He's still worthy of top 5 consideration regardless of format. I think that's fair to say. So at the end of the day, you're still putting Burks ahead of him
Yeah.
I guess I would too.
Again,
but I'm
you have the ceiling of the RB1 in this class, and with a guy like Walker, you're never going to get the ceiling of the RB1 in this class. I mean, wide receiver 1, you know what I mean?
If he turns out to be like a poor man's Josh Jacobs, I have no problem taking him at the 105.
He's a different guy than Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is not fast at all, and
no, he's not.
Carson is not fast at all either. So
right.
Maybe that was a bad comparison there too. He's hard to kind of pigeonhole.
I'm just thinking about a guy who's like he is a rusher of the football, but you're not necessarily relying on him week to week for that pass catching volume. Not even
and
volume.
That's the thing. Those guys don't have. You
general.
don't see a lot of those guys for very long in the NFL.
There's only a few.
He profiles like a Melvin Gordon or a Melvin Gordon that doesn't catch the passes.
Yeah.
Which is scary. It is. Because he's a better athlete than Damian Harris. He's a better athlete than Chris Carson. He is.
I'm still willing to say he's ahead of I would still put him top 5. And maybe the positional scarcity is playing into that a little bit, but also I think he's a good prospect who is going to end up, I think, depending on landing spot, having a shot of becoming, as soon as his rookie year, the 1A in a committee.
I would love for him to go to Arizona.
I would hate that. Because as much as I think we've been off James Conner, I keep coming. This was brought up on Twitter also. Yes, James Conner's not scoring 18 touchdowns again, but he just got paid. The Cardinals just paid him. I think James Conner remains the 1A, even if they draft somebody like Kenneth Walker.
I think he would turn into their 1B, and they would use him like a satellite back because they realize that, yes, James Conner is good, but he is always nicked up at some point in the season. You cannot rely on him for a 16-game season, much less 17 games now that it's 17 games, or in the playoffs if they expect to be in the playoffs, which I'm guessing they're hoping that they're going to get into the playoffs, especially
they absolutely
Kyler
are.
Murray, Young, and all that stuff.
Right, yeah.
So it would behoove them, just like it would behoove the Carolina Panthers to manage the reps of a guy like Christian McCaffrey. It would behoove the Arizona Cardinals to manage the reps of a guy like James Conner, even though he's not the type of guy that we typically think of with managed reps. But now he's there. He was used in the pass game when Chase Edmonds was not available last year, and he did very well in that respect. That was where a lot of his fantasy value came from. If they can bring in a guy like Kenneth Walker, who is a pure rusher, and he takes on the heavy-duty role, and they back off the heavy-duty between the tackles touches for James Conner, that would be within their best interest. And then what are we looking at? A Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon split, which I would be fine with. Again, they were both productive. Low-key, Chase Edmonds and James Conner were both productive. They were both RB2s in the same offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then one got injured and one went off to the races until he got injured in James Conner. So, yeah, I wouldn't hate the Arizona landing spot at all.
Just can't ignore the contract, that's all. I mean, maybe just like for year one anyway. Just wanted to call that out. Still top 5 option for me.